Why, hello, my patrons. Hello, my patrons, the elite members of the Rob Corps. How are you all doing today? I hope you're doing great, because in this video, we're covering Franklin Richards versus Dr. Manhattan. Yes, we are. We are going to break down a battle between two of the most powerful reality warpers in their respective universes. And as always, we're going to look at each character individually in terms of their origin and their powers, and then we'll conclude by declaring a winner. So, Franklin Richards was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and first appeared in Fantastic Four Annual number 6 in 1968. Franklin is the son of Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards and the Invisible Woman Susan Storm, which most of you guys probably know. But unlike his parents, Franklin was born with the X gene, meaning that Franklin is a mutant. However, while most mutants don't manifest their powers until adolescence, because his parents had been genetically altered by cosmic radiation, Franklin began exhibiting his powers as a toddler. We first see the scope of Franklin's abilities when he turns himself from a child into an adult after being unable to solve a Rubik's Cube, so he simply uses his reality warping powers to will the cube to be solved. At the same time, he hears the words, "When will you grow up?" on the television, and inadvertently turns himself into an adult physically, although he does retain the mind of a child. Now, when he was in his adult form, we saw him for the first time in full control of his reality warping powers, and he's able to overcome most of the Fantastic Four before finally realizing what he's done and reverting back to his child form. Now, over the years, we have seen Franklin depicted as both a child and an adult at various times, but for the purposes of this battle, we're going to take into account Franklin as an adult who's in full control of his powers, because that's when he's at his coolest. Now, as for what his powers are, Franklin's mutant abilities center around his psionic abilities. He's telepathic, telekinetic, and is able to produce concussive psionic blasts. He also possesses precognition and astral projection. However, the most significant of Franklin's powers is that he's able to warp reality, meaning that he's able to basically will anything he wishes into or out of existence, or change it in any way that he can conceptualize. Even as a child, Franklin demonstrated an ability to create pocket universes, and has on more than one occasion. He's able to affect and neutralize the powers and abilities of others, for instance, negating the destructive quality of Black Bolt's voice and turning off the part of his grandfather Nathaniel Richards' brain that allowed him to time travel. He has even shown the ability to turn the powerful energy blast of a Celestial into a harmless stream of flowers, which was adorable. Franklin has defeated Mephisto in the demon's own realm, where he's extremely powerful, even though he was a kid at the time, and he's even turned Galactus, one of the most powerful cosmic entities in Marvel, into his herald during Jonathan Hickman's run on the Fantastic Four, one of the most epic moments ever in the history of comic books. Now, Franklin has been able to use his powers to increase his durability, having survived an energy blast from a Celestial, as well as increase his strength, having killed a Celestial with one punch. To get a sense of Franklin's power level, it's been established that the Celestials view Franklin Richards as an equal, and Galactus has stated that at the end of time, only he and Franklin will be left. With all this in mind, we really don't know the upper limits of Franklin's powers, and the only thing that really seems to be a limitation to his abilities is his own imagination. Now, on the other hand, we have Dr. Manhattan. Now, Dr. Manhattan was created by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons and first appeared in Watchmen number 1 in 1986. Dr. Manhattan is the alter ego of John Osterman, a PhD of atomic physics who begins working in a field of physics focused on figuring out the intrinsic fields of matter, which can result in matter's disintegration if altered. One day, Jonathan goes back into the test chamber to retrieve a watch and is ultimately trapped inside when the chamber engages, resulting in the disintegration of his body. Now, over time, Jonathan gradually reforms his body, but when he does not resemble his former self, but instead is glowing blue and has the power to manipulate matter. Dr. Manhattan's matter manipulation extends to the subatomic level, which means that much like Franklin Richards, Dr. Manhattan can pretty much do anything he wants. He's built a fortress on Mars and created an atmosphere there so that people on the planet can breathe. He can grow his size to massive levels, and he can create multiple copies of himself that all function independently and simultaneously, so that he can literally be everywhere at once. He can teleport himself and others, possesses telekinesis, and can disintegrate others. Although Dr. Manhattan is not omniscient in the strictest sense, he can observe his own past, present, and future at the same time. However, this ability is limited to things that he will experience. However, in a battle setting, this will amount to the same sort of precognitive abilities that Franklin Richards possesses as well. Now, Dr. Manhattan remarks that he is able to sense tachyons, hypothetical particles that can travel faster than the speed of light, and also says that he thinks he has the ability to create human life. Within the last few years, it has been revealed that Dr. Manhattan has altered the timeline of the entire DC universe so that 10 years were missing from the timeline. Since that time, Mr. Mxyzptlk, an extremely adept reality warper, has acknowledged that his power is significantly less than that of Dr. Manhattan. So as we can see, both of these characters are insanely powerful, and both are able to do almost anything they can think of. In fact, both characters have been shown to significantly alter their respective universes. So while Dr. Manhattan affected the DC timeline, Franklin was literally responsible for recreating the entire Marvel multiverse after it was destroyed in Secret Wars. So how do we determine a winner? Well, it can be difficult when we're talking about two characters who can bend reality to their will, but we know that this is probably not going to be a physical battle, since both combatants can alter reality to negate any physical damage they suffer. So I think that we really have to look at who's displayed more prowess as a reality warper in determining our winner. If we're talking about Franklin Richards as a child, I think there's a good chance that Dr. Manhattan would win, given Franklin's immaturity and inexperience. But dealing with an adult Franklin Richards in full control of his powers, I think he would eventually win in a hard-fought battle with Dr. Manhattan. While we have seen Dr. Manhattan transport others to other places, we've literally seen Franklin create universes in the palm of his hand. While Dr. Manhattan has claimed to create and destroy universes, what he's really referring to is altering the timelines of existing universes and thereby creating new offshoot timelines with their own universes. He isn't actually creating the matter and energy that comprises these universes out of nothing. On the other hand, this is something that we have seen Franklin Richards do multiple times. So I think the most likely outcome is Franklin creating a pocket universe where Manhattan is powerless and then transporting him there to defeat him. And I think he would probably be able to do that due to his telepathic ability, shutting down Manhattan's precognitive ability so that Manhattan does not see Franklin's plan coming. I just think that at the end of the day, if we look at what we've actually seen these characters do, we have to come to the conclusion that Franklin is a more proficient reality warper and therefore give him the victory. But I want to know what you guys think here, because I feel like some hardcore Dr. Manhattan fans are going to be pissed. I'm curious what you guys think here. I want to know what your all stance is on this. But as always, thank you guys for being patrons. I love you guys so much. You all are amazing. Hey, also, leave some comments down below on what are the things you think we could roll into the $5 patron sphere. I'm considering throwing in ad-free videos, just making like ad-free videos $5 a month, right? Because in all honesty, once you get into something like Patreon and you start charging people, to more or less watch videos without ads, then you're competing with streaming services, right? So at this point, I'm competing with like Disney Plus and Netflix and Amazon. So I kind of have to price it at a point that's like, it's enough to where it's reasonable and it's fair, but that you guys would be willing to pay for. So give me some ideas down there. I'm working on some ideas of my own, but as always, I love your all's input when it comes to this kind of stuff. And yeah, I will catch you all later. Peace.